Gettysburg, Day 1, Chapter 3, The Barlow's Knoll Fight. The Union 11th Corps began to arrive around noon. Because the 11th Corps commander outranked the 1st Corps commander, he now became the commander on the field for the Union. General Howard was now in overall command for the Union. General Doubleday went back to commanding the 1st Corps. General Schurz, one of the 11th Corps division commanders, moved up to take command of the 11th Corps, and General Schimmelpfennig, a brigade commander when he had breakfast, was a division commander by lunch. This is what the Union generals wanted to do. Here's Oak Hill, Oak Ridge, and McPherson Ridge. See the three 11th Corps divisions, Schimmelpfennig's and Barlow's forward, and von Steinwehr's in reserve. So far this day the Union side had fought hard and been lucky. The Union won on McPherson Ridge in the morning, and they benefited from Confederate mistakes on Oak Hill in the afternoon. The pendulum would turn here. The rest of the first day belonged to the Confederacy. The Union Army's fortunes began to turn when Barlow moved his division forward and stretched the Union lines too thin. Howard and Schurz wanted to deploy on Oak Hill, but Confederate General Rhodes got there first with his division, and there were reports General Early was approaching on Harrisburg Road with another Confederate infantry division. Schurz deployed his two divisions perpendicular to 1st Corps, which is what you see here, to defend against the arrival of Rhodes and Early. But there was a problem. There weren't any good defensive positions along that line. General Barlow was concerned that the Confederates would make the knob in his front into a commanding artillery position, so Barlow advanced his division to occupy the knob. And this is the result, which of course caused other problems. First, Barlow had placed his division with both flanks exposed. That's one problem. And a second problem is that the Union line, in general, was badly overextended, and this made it worse. General Howard was trying to defend this key road junction, Gettysburg, and there was just too much real estate to cover. The Confederates could and would attack him from the northeast, the north, and the west, and pick their moments and their spots, and overwhelm him at whatever time and place they chose. Let's look at the animation. Here you see the first two 11th Corps divisions arriving. Each division contained two brigades, and the icons you see here mark the movement and location of brigades. Schimmelpfennig's division arrived first, followed by Barlow's division. Schurz placed Schimmelpfennig's division on the west side of Carlisle Road and Barlow's division on the east side. Barlow quickly decided he didn't like the spot he was assigned and moved his division forward. And notice the Confederate brigade off to the northwest of Barlow. That's Doles's brigade, which was guarding Rhodes's left flank. General Rhodes was alarmed at the sudden appearance of these Union troops. Bradley Gottfried, in his book Brigades of Gettysburg, explains, "The difficult job of holding the growing horde of Union troops from the 11th Corps on his left at bay was assigned to Doles's veteran Georgia Brigade. It was a gamble, as it appeared that the Union troops were interested in turning Rhodes's left flank." Godfrey then adds that Rhodes expected Early's division to arrive momentarily, and that Early would attack the enemy before they could overpower Doles's brigade. The artillery that Barlow had brought with him began shelling Doles's brigade, and Godfrey continued, "It was clear that the Union troops had more on their minds than holding the hill. They were making preparations to attack Doles's flank." Unquote. So notice what Doles did, and then look at what happened next. The four gray rectangles that just moved southwest down Harrisburg Road were Early's division. And I'll repeat, the Union troops were overextended and in poor defensive positions. The attacks on the west and the north were unsuccessful at first, but the Confederate generals kept pressing, and eventually, according to David Martin in his book, Gettysburg, July 1, around 2:30, General Lee decided to make a general attack on the Union positions. So let's look at the troops that are involved here. On the Union side, this chart shows everyone's jobs in the morning, And remember, the 11th Corps generals moved around following Howard's promotion to battlefield command, so some of the names are out of date. Start with the 1st Corps. Wadsworth's division, which relieved Buford's cavalry in the morning. Robinson's division, which fought on Oak Ridge in the afternoon. And Rowley's division, which reinforced Wadsworth on McPherson Ridge. And then the 11th Corps. Barlow's division were the ones that moved too far forward and started the Barlow's Knoll fight, which is the topic of this chapter. And there's Schurz's division, now Schimmelpfennig's, placed on Barlow's left. And then this division, these two brigades, they're the Union Army's reserve at Gettysburg. All these other corps, 3, 5, 12, and so on, they're not here. All the Union Army had was 1st Corps and 11th Corps. And this division was the reserve. The reserves are not important to the story right now, but they were called on later in the day. On the Confederate side, Keith's division, which started the fight in the morning. And then over here, Rodes's division, which fought on Oak Ridge. And Early's division, which led the way in defeating the 11th Corps in the fight we'll look at in this video. Longstreet's entire corps and the other divisions and Ewell's and Hill's corps were still on the road. So let's turn to the animation. Here's Gordon's and Doles's brigade on the Confederate side, and Ames and von Gilsa's on the Union side. Gordon and Doles attacked and pushed Gilsa and Ames's brigades off the Knoll. And here's what Barlow's little division was up against. These two pie slices are the Union brigades, and everything else is the Confederate brigades attacking them. Barlow's division was outnumbered by more than 2 to 1. One description I read has Gordon's brigade attacking with savage enthusiasm. General Barlow apparently thought this creek and the northern slope of this hill made a good defensive position. It didn't last long. Gordon and Doles made a fast-hitting frontal assault, and then Hoke and Avery's brigades swept around the Union right flank. The position fell apart, and the 2 Union brigades retreated south, and General Barlow was wounded and captured. Krzyzanowski's brigade was rushed forward to try to help, but it was too late. The Union brigades fell back to the almshouse and tried to regroup, but that wasn't a good position either, and the Confederates were on top of them before they had a chance to get organized. The retreat continued into and through Gettysburg. So here's where that reserve division, left south of town, got involved, and I'll shift the view a bit so we can see their position on Cemetery Hill. General Schurz was commanding the Union 11th Corps. He was asking for help all afternoon, but General Howard had no help to give, except his reserve, these 2 brigades on Cemetery Hill. And maybe you can imagine why Howard might hesitate to let one of them go. But finally, someone, maybe Howard, maybe the division commander, General Steinwehr, someone sent Coster's brigade forward. Schurz hoped to use Coster's brigade to make a counterattack, but by the time Coster arrived, it was too late. Coster's brigade could only act as a rear guard to try to protect the 11th Corps retreat. Coster's brigade was sent forward probably about the same time as the Union brigades on Barlow's Knoll were forced to retreat. General Early, the Confederate division commander, started his second line, Hayes and Avery's brigades, on their attack to the southwest. They moved forward on Gordon's left, and Gordon stopped at the almshouse line. Hayes's brigade passed through Gordon and continued with Avery then leading on the far left to Hayes's east. General Schurz led Coster out of town and positioned the brigade at the brickyard, possibly just as Hayes passed through Gordon's brigade. Coster's brigade was in a poor position, their flanks exposed, with a small hill just to their front, and no time to dig in or create any fortification. Coster's brigade fought with only about 800 men. The 2 Confederate brigades that attacked Coster added up to over 2,500 men, so Coster was outnumbered better than 3 to 1. Coster's brigade was almost immediately outflanked on both left and right. It was a short fight, and they barely escaped. One of Coster's 3 regiments had 80% casualties, and a second one had over 60% casualties. Next, Hill's Corps was attacking the Union First Corps on the west side of town. Again, see Chapter 4.